right, so I'm getting a C crow. It's a little sharp. All right, so the tip itself, just the tip crow, is about 20 cents sharp for a C, and then backing up to the thread is a little bit sharper than that. And this is a 70 millimeter reed, so I'm curious to see the intonation of this one, but we're gonna go C crow. I'm gonna say 20 cents sharp. Okay. Ooh, this is the hardest cork yet. Okay, so I haven't put cork grease on any of these reeds. I had to push with 2 hands to get this cork all the way down into the bottom of the well. So when I'm taking it out, I'm gonna have to be super careful. And that's something else that I really look for with beginner reeds, or reeds that beginners could be using, because I have had students come up to me at the end of the lesson and need me to take their reed out, which makes me really afraid for what's going on at home when they practice. So this one I really had to shove in there. This is the hardest reed so far. Okay, so these lower notes are definitely very difficult to get out comparatively. I'm trying to keep a beginner's embouchure and not really change anything about what I'm doing, just kind of evaluating what the reed is doing itself. But getting that low C out is difficult to do that way. I have to make adjustments to get the low C out. I can't not make that adjustment, or it's gonna speak up the octave. All right, so I'm gonna go with A. It's about 10 cents sharp. It's about 35 cents sharp for that high A. Okay, starting with low D. Low D is about 5 cents flat. And D is definitely easier to get out than C. Low C was really difficult for me to get out without adjusting my embouchure, but low D was not so bad at all. Although it does not always speak immediately, so I'm tonguing and then I'm getting about half a second before I'm actually getting the tone of that D. Middle D. It's about 15 cents sharp. And high D. Yeah, that's on the verge of registering as an E flat, so it's very, very sharp. I'm gonna say 50 cents. That would definitely be one to adjust down. All right, starting with our Fs, here's natural F. That's about 20 cents sharp. Forked F. That probably sounds flat, but that's actually in tune. Left F. Okay, so my natural and my left F are both about 20 cents sharp, which puts my forked F in tune, which is great for forked F, but there really shouldn't be that big of a difference between those fingerings. All right, we're gonna go with our C scale for intonation. This is definitely a harder reed than the others. There's a lot more resistance. I am feeling the pressure definitely playing this reed and just going through that C scale. It did get sharper as we climbed. Some of those lower notes were a little bit flat and in tune. But as I continue up the scale, I'm getting just kind of hovering around 20 cents sharp once I get past like G and then all the way up the scale. So, not sure how I feel about this one yet. Let's do our excerpts. Oh, I gotta write that down. Going through the scale sharp as we climbed. And say 20 cents sharp most of the time. All right. So this is definitely a harder read, probably harder than any of the others I've tried so far. I definitely am feeling pressure as I'm playing, and I definitely have needed to stop and breathe in or breathe out more often with this read than any other. When I'm changing dynamics, I'm feeling like I'm not super confident in the read speaking all of the time, especially coming down and decrescendoing to a piano. So I probably, if I had a student with this read, I probably would make some adjustments. Looking at the read kind of in the light, I would maybe take a little bit out of the back to make it a little bit easier to blow, although it's sharp, so that might not be a great idea. Now this is a 70 millimeter read, and it is overall pretty sharp, so that's interesting. So we wouldn't want to clip that tip because then it's going to get even sharper. All right, so this was the Forrest reed, and now I have to worry about carefully taking it out. So I'm going to have to grip that thread and really, really push and twist. And if it's that difficult for me, it's probably going to be pretty impossible for a beginner. So that's something to keep in mind when you're first looking at reeds, is how difficult is it to even get it into and out of the well. Forrest.